Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. And right now, today, I just want to compare these two movies that I saw recently on Amazon Prime. They're both Korean movies, and I've been watching a lot of Korean movies lately because it's going back to the roots, from when I lived in Korea back in the 70s. Korean movies were kind of like whatever, But Korean movies, since they don't spend too much money on them, they rely on good story, lots of drama, and great acting. And it so amazes me how these people could make themselves cry the way they do. They look so sad at times, but I guess it's the reality of life, especially Korean life in the past. Today, Korea is supposed to be doing really well, even though we're still number one in the world in suicide. So it means that the society is still going through some difficult times. But these two movies, first movie is called The Handmaiden. It's made by the great director of Park Chan-wook. He became famous after making that movie called Old Boy. And if you haven't seen that movie yet, definitely check it out. One of the best films ever. But this movie, however, you could tell that I think they spent a lot more money on this. I'm not 100% sure. But the cinematography is amazing in The Handmaiden. The acting is almost perfect. I just didn't like this one character who plays this really creepy guy. I didn't like him too much. But once again, the twist in this story, just like a lot of the Park Chan-wook's stories, the twist in this story is one of those things. It's jaw-dropping. At least for me, it was. Right? So you gotta watch it. It's about a maid who it really is a thief. He gets hired by a con man who wants to steal money, a lot of money, from this really supposed to be an innocent young girl, a young woman who has just inherited a lot of money. And it takes place in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s, when Japan occupied South Korea. So the story is amazing. The twist in it, there's a couple of them, is really, really good. First one was just jaw-dropping. All right. Now, the second movie is called The Royal Tailor. I kind of like this one better, and it reminded me of the movie called Amadeus. Right, pretty much the same. There's one tailor who is tailor to the king. This happens in the Joseon dynasty. So I don't know exactly what time period this is, but it's got to be somewhere between 1500 to 1500 or so. Okay, when Korea and China were, I think China didn't occupy South Korea at the time, but I think they were the Koreans were the puppets to China at this time. Anyway, it's about this tailor who came to be the tailor for the king and the queen and the king's court, even though he started out as a nobody, right? So he has worked very hard to be the tailor, right? A royal tailor, all right? But he finds this other tailor who is just happy-go-lucky kind of a guy who is just tremendously talented, just like Amadeus, right? There is that one guy who is rich and famous, and he is kind of like the, I guess, a musician for the rich and the famous, or the king. I forgot exactly how it goes. But Amadeus comes along, and he is just happy-go-lucky. Everything comes so natural for him, and there's a lot of jealousy and bitterness and rivalry that's going on there. So this Royal Tailor is about the same thing. This royal tailor finds this happy-go-lucky tailor who's got visions for this, changing the way that people dress, right? Changing the culture, and tremendous talent. And there's a lot of jealousy and bitterness and things like that. I don't want to go too much into it as well because I want you to watch these two films. But there are two things I want to point out about these two films. First of all is the sex scene on The Handmaiden. Now, when I lived in Korea in the 70s, of course this was a long time ago, there was never ever a scene that we could watch on TV and as well as in the movies where you saw people kiss, right? It was banned. It was not allowed. You couldn't see people kissing. In fact, I think the very first movie where the Korean actors actually kissed on screen, I think happened back in 1975 or 76, right? Before then, there was no kissing at all. The Handmaiden has a couple of sex scenes, full nudity, and it's as graphic as, I don't know, I mean, more so than the movies you watch in America, right? And it's sexy. But at the same time, it was done in a way where I could watch it with my wife and not feel uncomfortable about it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess it needed to be in the film, but in a way it didn't really need to. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to feel very uncomfortable about it, all right? Especially Christians, all right? Conservatives, be careful, all right? It's very explicit, all right? They show a lot in this film. However, in Royal Tailor, I don't even think there was any kissing scenes in it. Maybe there was, I don't know. But it's not that kind of a film, right? But there was a scene where this tailor, the talented one, this tailor is measuring the queen's body so he could make her an outfit, a dress. And, you know, he's doing his best. He's not allowed to. Somebody else is supposed to, but he wanted to do it because he wanted to make sure that this dress that he's making for the queen fits perfectly. Now, the queen is wearing her undergarments, and he's measuring her, right? And he's not really even touching her either. However, this is like the first time that this queen has ever revealed herself, or anyone else have ever seen her in her undergarments, or even been touched by a man. Okay, so she's feeling not just nervous, but she's getting very excited about it as well, you know. And I don't know why, but that scene was sexier than the handmaiden scene where they show all the, you know, graphic scenes of people having sex. And it just kind of dawned on me that, you know, we have seen so much, you know. And please don't get me wrong, when it comes to pornography, to showing sex and stuff like that, I am open to all that kind of stuff. If society wants to go that way, you know, what can you do? You're going to rebel against it? How do you rebel against that, right? But when there's too much out there, and we have seen too much, you know, and I really do believe innocence is lost, and there's something really exciting about innocence. And you could see that in the movie called The Royal Tailor. And yeah, it was actually better to see. I don't know if you could say better to see. I got more excited about watching a scene with no nudity in it. Okay, that's all I'm saying, I guess. Yeah, so there's an innocence there, and it was portrayed really, really well. Once again, the acting is as perfect as can be. The second thing I want to talk about is the climax of these two films. You know, happens a little too early. You know, in fact, the turning point, I guess you could say, where I would say it's the climax of the story, or a twist in the story. And The Handmaiden is so jaw-dropping that I didn't see it coming at all, not at all. And it struck me to a point, everything that came afterwards was not that big of a deal. So it was, you know, kind of a letdown, right? Same thing with The Royal Tailor. When Queen shows off the dress that the tailor made for her, it was such a wonderful scene. Now, that had to be the climax of the story. But since there are so many side stories in these films that they had to touch upon, that the movie kind of dragged on for a while, and it just kind of took away from the films. So I would say that's one of the bad things about these films. It kind of reminded me of, if you can remember, the Lord of the Rings at the very final one, the third one, where everything has ended, but movie goes on for another, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Well, these ones, after the big reveal in the climax scene, the movie goes on even more so than that. So, you know, it was kind of a letdown. I didn't like that at all. However, I highly recommend these two films. If you have seen them, please comment below whether you liked it or not. What do you like about Korean films? What do you not like about them? And if there's other Korean movies or foreign films that I should watch, please let me know. All right. Thanks for joining me today. God bless you. And once again, as I think Scripture is clear on it. You know, I don't know if Scripture itself says it, but what I got out of it is that innocence is always better than experience. Some people might disagree with that, but innocence is powerful. That's all I'm saying. All right. Anyway, thanks for joining me. God bless. I'll see you next time.